TMAI. I am your host, ACK. Well, it's been long since Boragoyo. What am I saying? Anyway, thank you very much and welcome to another episode. I don't know what I'm saying today. If you're joining us for the first time, this is TMAI, a place where we basically talk about everything and nothing at the same time. And then I just destroyed something. Hold on. Okay, now let me go on. So this is tell me about it at PenyGh. If you're listening to me, basically it's an online platform, so you are using one of our medium, which is radio.penygh.com, the website, or PenyGh, the Facebook or YouTube. You can reach us out on all these platforms. You can as well reach us out on Discord, PenyGh, and then Instagram as well. Great. Today I recorded everything. So for today, we are going to talk about languishing. But then before that, if you're listening to us, like, it means you know what Tell Me About It is. So if you don't tell me about it, it's a place where we basically talk about everything and nothing at the same time. So it's me ranting about anything I'm curious about, and then you sending in questions you're curious about, and it's about both of us trying to figure out the world. You know, the world is a curious place. We are always curious. Although I don't consider myself really curious enough about some things, but then I'm curious about some things I'm interested in. So, what topic are we curious about today? Today's topic is languishing. This seems to be, should I call it the first? Because when I first saw this a week ago, it looked like it was new. Because all the articles, the dates on the articles were fresh. Even with the article we are using today, it's dated 2 days ago, the articles we are using. And then they are from Very Well Mind, Very Well Health. I think it's the same company. I'm not sure. It could be different people using the Very Well. So I was wondering, what is languishing? Am I depressed? I'm not depressed. This doesn't look like depression. I'm not thinking of killing myself. So what was the word for it? And then Google helped me find out the word for it. And I was like, Then let's figure it out. So I'm not taking it home alone. You're also taking something home. So languishing. Oh, did I tell you who I am? I think you know who I am. I'm Missy K. Languishing describes. It describes how it describes low mental well-being in the absence of a diagnosable mental health condition. That was just great of a word. So they're basically saying that languishing is a mental health problem. At least that's what I got from it. While it can be hard to identify, experts say that languishing could be a risk factor for mental health conditions like major depression later in life. Great. Because languishing, to me, felt like depression. As I was reading everything, I was like, is this not depression? So it means there's a thin line between languishing and depression. Let's figure it out. So practicing mindfulness or even simply getting comfortable, putting the name to the feeling a person is experiencing can help people move from languishing to flourishing. So I can move from languishing to flourishing. Interesting. So these are some of the questions you can ask yourself to know whether you are languishing, you're in the languishing state. Do you lack a sense of purpose and fulfillment in your life? Do you lack a sense of purpose and fulfillment in your life? Have joy and other simple pleasures. What am I reading? Have joy and other simple pleasures lost their meaning? Are you just feeling kind of blah, blah? Well, if you are, then you are languishing, basically. So these questions are often used to screen people for mental health conditions like depression. But answering yes to any of them does not necessarily mean that you are depressed or burnt out. Okay. You could be experiencing what psychologists refer to as languishing. So, my dear ladies and gentlemen, it's not all the time someone feeling blah or someone feeling down means that the person is depressed. I can be feeling down and blah, but I may not be depressed. When I'm young, I could be languishing. So I can move from languishing to flourishing from this article. So what is languishing? In a recent article in the New York Times, organized organizational psychologist Adam Grant, PhD, wrote that languishing is a sense of stagnation and emptiness. Okay, so basically, languishing is the state. If you feel you are languishing, means you're in a state where you feel like you are stuck in life. You feel you are like there's this emptiness in you. You don't feel like doing anything. Oh well, I could say I was languishing. I wasn't depressed anyway. Let's see. While you're in this state, you may not see the point of things or anticipate any forward direction of fulfillment in your life. I think everyone has been here before. I mean, everyone, unless you told me that you are Superman or Superwoman and then you've not been at a stage in your life where you think that you have to pause. So, anyway, just blah, 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 blah. You are not necessarily feeling hopeless. Like, that is with languishing, when you feel that way, it doesn't mean that you are really hopeless. And then this term was coined by a sociologist, Corey Kayes. Anytime I see sociologist, Charles Darwin comes to mind. So languishing looks like depression, but it's not depression. We are going to talk about when languishing looks like depression and when it doesn't look like depression. So positive emotions, life satisfaction, a sense of meaning, interactions with society, and positive relationships are all concepts that are tied to a sense of mental well-being. So Matthew, I'm pausing. Matthew, read the article, you find the surname. An Australian-based researcher and PhD candidate who studied well-being tells very well that people who are languishing are scoring poorly across those domains. So if you're languishing, it means that you have low positive emotions, you have low life satisfaction, you have a low sense of meaning to life, you have a low interaction with society, and a very low positive relationship. That is what it means to say you are languishing. So at first glance, these people might seem depressed, but they are not. Why didn't you use Matthew? Isailo says the same as the Matthew I mentioned earlier. Isailo says that even though this group of people would not be diagnosed with a mental health condition, they are very far from getting the most out of life. So all these people may not be depressed, yes, but then they do not get the meaning of life. They'll probably be asking, why am I here on this earth? They probably get, those are some of the questions they ask. So remodeling mental health and well-being. Before that, let's talk about some of the things that would make you feel like, that would make you realize that you are not depressed by your languishing. So when you have this, I feel stuck in a sort of limbo where a sense of life bars around me, but I can't access them. So life is at once too overwhelming and not engaging enough. Each task I do requires a search for motivation beyond anything I've ever known. I'm tired, burned out, and not often excited, but also restless, eager to engage and trying. This is me, languishing. So if you find yourself wondering about why you're feeling stuck in this life, why everything around you seems to be stuck, why you're not moving, why that is languishing. And then individuals with a history of depression and anxiety, or who are genetically predisposed to psychiatric conditions, are more prone to languishing than others. So unlike a panic disorder or depression, languishing is a series of emotions, not a mental illness. Okay, so we've gotten the clear definition between languishing and then depression. Because depression is a mental illness. It is like a mental illness. It has been classified as one. And then languishing is a series of emotions, like the feelings you go through before you probably reach the depression stage. I don't know if it's a term that has been coined recently, since all the articles seems to be recent. Whatever, you understood what I said. So I felt most of these emotions in one capacity or another last year. not me, the article. As the pandemic raged on, but I also subconsciously on now put weight into the idea that this was a condition of 2020. The next year might show improvement, right? Well, with the pandemic, then if you're going to use that, everyone actually languished because I remember the very last day of the year 2020, people were excited. We're going into 2021, and then although we're excited, we're going to 2021. The whole idea was everything was going to be fine. The pandemic was going to end, and then, however, the pandemic is still around, you know, and then we are probably languishing. It's like a feeling of uncertainty. That is what I'm getting. Yes, 2021 has brought access to the COVID-19 vaccine for many and a small glimpse into the future. At the same time, it has emphasized feelings of waiting, of not having control over what the present looks like or what the future will bring, obviously. And it's quite something. I'm giving commentary. So the next thing we are going to do is identify languishing in ourselves. According to Kaya's research in 2002, okay, it's not a new term, about 12.1% of adults met the criteria for languishing. As the pandemic drags out and 2021 mirrors 2020 in many ways, many people are experiencing it, like I said. One person who understands languishing acutely is Maya. And then this is what Maya says. I haven't necessarily felt good or bad, but I'm definitely not as present as I used to be. And this lack of focus can make every task much more draining than before. So it's a feeling of it's a feeling where you're doing the same thing you usually do, but then you're not enjoying it like you used to do. Maybe I'm languishing. So basically, you're trying to. You're not all excited. You're not down. You're just in between. But you're not just only in between. You're in between, but moving towards the negativity. Basically, languishing. I'm repeating the word pan. So when the pandemic began, Maya slowly slowed down, giving herself time to relax. Then her school started. Work picked up. And suddenly she was back into a busy routine. That sounds like me. Only with less energy. Oh, no, Majayo. Like, with less energy. I feel as if I'm going through the motions. Like, says Maya, everything blends together when you study, work, eat, and reduce your daily interactions to your computer screen and desk chair. I have the strength to get things done, but I feel like time goes by so fast that I'm not able to really savor my lifestyle in the way that I had before. Well, the difference is I never had that lifestyle that I had before. It has always been in my head, so I'm no languishing. Mentally, I haven't necessarily felt good or bad, like she said earlier. But I'm definitely not as present as I used to be, and this lack of focus can make every task much more draining than before. Maya. So Maya sees online classes as a primary cause of these feelings. Online classes. I feel your pain, girl. As they make it more difficult to separate her school and personal life. Oh, tell me about it. Then there's, okay, so basically all the articles. I think we've gotten to know more about it. Some other time we'll be telling more stories, but this is from Grace. She says, I didn't feel like talking to anyone. I didn't feel like I was myself. I'm a very bubbly, energetic, happy person usually, and I felt just neutral. If you have that feeling, you are languishing. And then these were people that have been diagnosed with languishing. So if you're having this feelings, you're languishing. So the question is, how do you cope with languishing? So while you can't snap your fingers and bring the pandemics to an end, there are some actions and ways to cope with languishing. Take time off when possible. How could we want to talk here? Like, how do you take time off when possible? You don't have the time to even take off. But then, yeah, take time off when possible. If you have it, if it's possible for you to take time off, just take time off. Just take time off. The past few weeks, Aina has stopped herself from doing any work over the weekend, giving herself proper free time. I think the vacation I have right now is my time off. What about you? Saturday and Sunday, time off. I've been allowing myself to fully invest in the things I love doing. The question is, what do you love doing? So give yourself permission to enjoy. Instead of thinking of the negativity and all that, give yourself the permission to enjoy being the moment. Stop thinking of the future. You don't know what the COVID-19 would bring to the future, but you know what you're doing in the present. I sound like a motivational speaker. So take time to enjoy the present. Give yourself the permission to enjoy. The next point is that change your scenery. So speaking of the park, you can go out. If you're not an outing person, you can just try that out, just to change the scene you find yourself in. If you're always in front of your computer screen, you can change and then get yourself behind the computer screen. That is still the same thing. So if you're always in front of your computer screen, get yourself at a park. If you're always at a park, get yourself at a restaurant. If you're always at a restaurant, get yourself, like, just change places. That would help you just to lift yourself up. Go to the beach, whatever it is. If money is a problem, just take a walk. Just change and try to do something. You get that languishing thing off. And then look into therapy. Look into therapy. I repeat again, look into therapy. You know, I know our part of the world is very difficult for us to find ourselves a therapist and everything. I don't even have a therapist. But then if you have the means to find a therapist, look into therapy. And then get vaccinated. Get vaccinated. That is one way. Get vaccinated. So, because the coronavirus is real, get yourself vaccinated. So with this, we have come to an end of the very first segment, and then with that, we talked about languishing. I don't even know what I was talking about. I felt like I was just blabbering, like what I'm doing right now, and I feel like I'm making a lot of mistakes, but then who knows? Who cares? I'm just talking. Yes. So we've come to the end of the first episode where we talked about languishing, and then it's basically the feeling, not depression. There's a difference between languishing and depression. Depression is a mental health illness, and then languishing is just the feeling and emotions you have at a particular point in time. It can last for a very long time, just like depression, but then it's not depression. So it's where you feel kind of neutral. That is what I got from, you feel neutral. Unlike your usual self, if you are down almost all the time, you're just going down. And then if you're very enthusiastic, you find yourself just down, basically. So if you're listening to us, you can advertise with us by calling the WhatsApp number 0543829571. 0543829571. This is Tell Me About It, and this is PenyGh. For the very second segment, we are going to this is a place where you ask me the questions. The very first one, I talk about the blabberish thing going on in my mind. The second segment, you ask me questions and I answer. So today's question, the question doesn't have to be related to the topic, remember. The very first one, if you describe something as indescribable, haven't you already described it? Is that supposed to test my mind? Well, I think you've described it. I'm describing this microphone as indescribable. It means I can't describe it. But I've described it. Yes, I've described it. Mola, take it anyway. Who thought the first ever teacher? Kogan. How would I know? Who thought the first ever teacher was probably a self-taught? I was about to say something crazy. But then the first was probably a self-taught farmer, self-taught monk, self-taught something, who learned that they had to learn from life itself or something like that. Because I don't know. Who thought the very first teacher? I'll try to figure that out. If you expect the unexpected, does that make the unexpected expected? I'm confused. If I expect the unexpected, does that make the unexpected expected? No. Yes. Where from this question? Okay, which came first? I'm jumping that question. I don't know. We will all try to figure it out. Which came first, the chicken or the egg? The egg came first. Or it's just unanswerable. If you are trying to fail and you succeed, did you fail or you did succeed? I did succeed because I was trying to fail. Wait, it depends on the scenario. If I'm trying to fail and I succeed, well, why would I be trying to fail in the first place? What would I be trying to fail at? That even logic doesn't even make sense. Anyway, the last question is, what are they called? Okay, why are they called builders if they are already built? Let's go and ask an architect. They should be actually. Wait, I think I get it. If they are if they are called buildings, and then when they've already been built, we should have called them like builds, right? So why are we calling them buildings? Well, since we already know I didn't describe the English language and then I studied it like everyone else, I basically didn't have answers to the questions you asked today. None actually made sense. So thank you very much for tuning in. This was Tell Me About It with me, ACK, your host. You can find us on social media, as I said earlier, PenyGh, Peny Radio, Hope for the Hopeless. Personally, you can find me at Jill ACK on all social media handles, and at Jill as a writer on everything, basically. So thank you very much for tuning in and listening to me rant about languishing and other things I don't even know what I was talking about. Thank you very much for tuning in. This was Tell Me About Tell Me. This was Tell Me About It with me, TMAI. Kamsahamnida. Gracias for joining us. Till same time, till what? See you same time next week, 6 o'clock p.m. here. Adios.